12 Democracy Day was the talk of the town. But let's begin by letting you know that Nigeria has marked our 25th democracy anniversary, led by President Bola Tinubu. During the celebration, the president inspected the military parade and signed a register in a symbolic honor to significance of June 12. These and more we're talking about. Of course, it's a very interesting one, as that particular day has showed so many things. And joining me on the show for today to talk about these particular event is Ambassador Dubem Mbago, who of course is the president, Safra People Assembly, and of course he joins me live on the studio on the president's speech on June 12th, Democracy. Thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Damola.
A lot to talk about. First of all, when the president spoke on June 12th, he spoke about why Nigeria's unity is very, very paramount, why we need to stand together as one, irrespective of the challenges that we face. Nigeria must be able to stand together. But let me get your perspective of what you think exactly is your reaction on President's speech first. Let me take it from there.
Well, the president spoke as a father should speak. I must give it to him. He's one of those that made some sacrifices for the democracy we enjoy today. And for that, we think that having him on the saddle and having him speak to Nigerians on that day should bring a gleam of hope to Nigerians as to how our democracy will emerge going forward.
Yeah. So, one of the senior advocates of Nigeria, Bunwadukuruwa, was saying that, let me just quote him. I said, President Tinubu's speech is just rehearsing history. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. But what's your take on that? Do you think that President, like every other president, will come on Democracy Day and just speak to Nigerians? Does anything inspire you, even as a Nigerian, to think that, yes, indeed, Nigeria's democracy is getting matured? Are we seeing that dividend of democracy, so to say?
Well, I think I want to align myself to the submission of the senior advocate. Reason being that this is 25 years into our democracy, the democratic experiment. Yeah. And within these 25 years, one would expect that certain indices, certain benchmark for assessing democracy should be evident in Nigeria. The only thing one could possibly say is constant now is the fact that we can transit from one democratic government to the other. There are myriads of problems that should not be here, knowing where we're coming from. So to that extent, I would align myself to the submission of the senior advocate.
So the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, also is blaming the APC-led administration for Nigeria's poverty, insecurity, knowing fully well, let's put it, because we need to really put it into context. He was vice president 1999 to 2007. So correct. Nigeria's poverty didn't just start before this administration. His party ruled from 1999 to 2015. Nigeria was also wallowing in poverty. So do you think that this administration was solely responsible? Does it really reflect the true things of how Nigerians are just putting the blame on the APC-led administration?
Well, it would be unfair for me to sit here and begin to, blame the presidency of President Tinubu or his administration for the situation we have now. It didn't start with him. It didn't start with this government. From 1999 till date, there has been problem. But if president comes and tries his hands on what he can achieve and then gives way. But why this happens, there is still a problem. problem because since the APC government came in 2015, in fact, the last 8 years of President Buhari's administration that administration did not quite take a leap, did not quite step up, in some areas, in the issue of economy, in the issue of security, in the issue of general welfare of citizens of Nigeria. We experienced a lot of decline. Even in the issue of foreign exchange, yes, there are issues. And now this administration came in. Of course, if you have a vehicle, if you take a vehicle to a mechanic, and this vehicle, all you have is the aesthetics, the body, engine is gone, what do you expect? Of course, for you to begin to use the vehicle, you must go back to fix the engine. I think that's a problem. Anybody that had become president of Nigeria would have faced problem because we're almost sitting on a cliff. So I would not, in all honesty, blame the current government for all the problems, no. But they owe us a responsibility because they came to us, they asked for votes, we gave them the job. They have to do the job. So we are not here to blame the previous administrations. There is a government in place today in Nigeria, and it is the primary responsibility of that government to show us the way. So the buck stops on the desk of the president, and he has said to us, look, I know there is a problem, I will take care of the problem, I have the capacity to deal with this problem. I have no doubt in my mind that coming from a democratic background, we need to give him the time.
Nigerians don't have the time
to showcase what he has. Well, Nigerians don't have the time because there's a lot going on there. The price of food is an astronomical increase.
Inflation,
cost of transportation, inflation.
Yeah.
There are myriads of problems. Somebody has to sit up and fix these problems. And we are looking at the president of Nigeria to do the next.
But looking at how things are, do you think that, they came on the mantra that, things will change and remember the next level. But looking at how things are, do you think that one can come in just 1 year and fix all this marriage of problems?
I have more of the school of thought that 1 year is not enough. 1 year is not enough to assess the presidency of 4 years. Because when one comes into power, he must first sit back to assess the situation before taking some steps. It's like building a house. If you inherit a house that needs rehabilitation, you must sit back, calculate the cost, sit down, get the quantity survey, do a lot of study, structural designs, electrical designs, and all that before you begin. Yes. So I do not think that 1 year is enough. However, 1 year is enough for us to begin to see the right indicators.
Are you saying that?
Yes.
Do you think?
No, oh, sorry. 1 year is enough for us to see the indicators, to see the policy directions of government, to see where we're likely going to be in the next 1, 2, 3 years.
You as a Nigerian, are you saying that?
To some extent, no.
But the government is saying that we're putting the right indicators in place.
Well, that is the government speaking. But I'm a Nigerian. And if you want to understand the situation, the realities on ground, one needs to go into the streets and ask questions.
Okay, so you know why I'm asking this question. If you say you're not saying the right indicators should be visible. Is in your words, should it be visible? While you are giving an illustration, you said if you want to build a house, it takes a lot of process, and those processes are, let's put it in a proper context, are indicators. Are those processes need to be seen or they need to be felt?
Well, some needs to be seen, while some will be felt. For instance, if you want to deal with economic policies, you don't see these things, you feel them. But when it comes to infrastructure, these are things you see. When you come when we talk about policies that should impact on education, on the life of children, the environment and all that, these are things you feel. You don't just come, and you don't give us water to drink, you don't give us good roads to drive on, and you say, oh, sorry, wait. Nigerians don't have that time to wait.
But I'm very sure you drive from a good road down to this place.
Well, to assess this, well, like I said, some are right, but most are not right yet.
Okay. All right. So, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Matikuka, says, unlike Europe, where principles of democracy were founded on thinking of several philosophers, Nigeria's democracy was not founded on the country's historical, cultural, or experiences. Do you share this thought too? That we really don't have that historical fact or how our values and how we should see democracy compared to what we have in Europe and we have in America.
I agree with Reverend Kuka. I agree to a very large extent because this is a democracy that came from a military background. At the inception of our democratic experiment in 1999, who was our president? A former military head of state. Before it moved to two other presidents, President Yaradua and President Jonathan, civilians.
Yeah.
Now you move again to a former President Buhari, who is a retired military general. Okay, so.
But we had like two civilians in the middle. We have President Yaradua, we have President Goodluck Jonathan. Things could have changed at the same time.
No, it does not take that little time to create a democratic institution around. Because looking at these institutions, what are we even talking about when we talk about democratic institutions? We need to get the indices of democracy right. First, the issues of rule of law, the issues around free speech, free press, the issues of, quality services, human capital development, welfare of citizens. How well have Nigeria coped? So it is a combination of a lot of factors. So we need to sit back as a nation and look at what democracy we want to practice. We also go back to our grand norm, the Constitution. The Constitution we operate today, how did it come about? Is it really a people's constitution? This constitution was not put together under the watch of civilian administration. It was through a military process. So we need to really sit down and do a holistic job, look at how to reframe the fabric of our democratic experiment. We need to do this and as quickly as possible. We need to converse across board to choose what suits us best. So in comparison with other nations, like Bishop Kuka mentioned, these nations went through a process. Yeah. They sat down to converse. They sat down to look at their areas of interest, their areas of strength, and the areas where they have issues before they could, fine-tune the democracy that suits them. Nigeria needs to have a conversation.
Indeed, the conversation needs to be heard. My last question to you is, President Bola Tinubu saluted MK Abiola for his doggedness, and it is that June 12 election is termed to be the most fierce and the fairest election Nigeria has ever had. There's also the war against anti-democratic forces. How do you see all of these come into place? 25 years of unbroken democracy is something to celebrate. We're not in the military junta. I'm very sure you were of age as at the time. I was of age, so I know what it means. So how do you think that we can better our democracy going forward? It's not just election in every 4 years. What do you think we can do better in addressing the lapses that we have in our democracy?
As a little boy, I watched Chief MKO Abiola go through his campaign alongside
Babagana
Kingibe, his vice president. I also watched the campaign promises of Alhaji Tofa. Those men symbolized democracy. Well, it is good that the president, took his time to remember to pour accolades on late MKO Abiola, because he paid
some of the heroes.
Yes, and some of the heroes, because I want to mention that he's not the only one.
Yeah, of course.
Some are here, while some are no more here, and we must find a way to recognize these people. So Chief MKO Abiola, don't forget, his wife also died in the process, Elijah Kudirat Abiola. The family must have gone through a lot of pain. They paid the ultimate sacrifice to bait democracy. Yeah. So also the late Alhaji Sheikh Musa Yar'Adua and so many other people.
Beko
Ransom Kuti, there's so many.
Yeah.
Okay, Abraham Desire, all of them.
Yeah.
So, and don't forget people like Femi Falana and all that, the Ajay Rose, all of them are still there. And they are in the trenches, still fighting, still trying to make our democracy work. Yeah. So these people made effort to build this democracy. So it's not bad for the president to commend their effort. But again, if we're talking about June 12th, we must also extend our appreciations to Mr. Humphrey Musu, who superintended over that election. Nobody mentions him. So people should also, government should also recognize the effort of that statesman.
I think I agree with you. Yeah. Thank you very much, Ambassador Dumbem, for this interesting conversation. It's a conversation that needs to continue. Thank you very much for coming to the show.
Thank you.